Namaskar. I welcome each and every sincere aspirant for this beautiful spiritual discourse. Believe me, my dear friends, it is only through knowledge, it is only through inculcation of truth and spiritual knowledge into your neurological brain, there will be a possibility of transforming your attitude, of transforming your thinking pattern, of transforming your dimension or prism. Without sufficient truth, without the rightful knowledge, it is impossible for you to transform and reform. And you may do vigorous practice, but still, if you are continuing with the old thinking pattern, the religious thinking pattern, the thinking pattern which is loaded with all type of ignorance. I mean to say, when your thinking pattern is harboring the ignorance, the limitations of humanity, in spite of your several practices, rigorous and vigorous practices, it is of no use. It is of no use. Okay, it is of no use. So, I am emphasizing on this point. Without reformation, without transformation in your thinking pattern, forget about the enlightenment. Forget about the maturity. Without sufficient truth, without the rightful knowledge, you keep on sacrificing, you keep on doing all the rituals, practicing all the rituals, sacrificing all the fun in the real life, become renunciating everything, becoming a renunciant. It is of no use. The truth and the knowledge. And I believe very sincerely that each and every single word uttered by Lord Sri Krishna, it's not a word, it's a verdict. It's not a word, it's a verdict. This verdict enables us to celebrate the voyage to our original divine spiritual consciousness. I repeat, every single word uttered by Lord Sri Krishna is not a word, but it's a verdict. And every verdict declared by Sri Krishna enables us for a beautiful spiritual voyage to our original Omkaram consciousness. That's the thing. See, on the other day, I have told you up to 28th sloka, I think. 28th sloka has been taught by me. So today in this fresh episode, let us learn what exactly is told in the sloka number 29. Let us read sloka number 29.
Prakruter guna sammudhaha sajjante guna karmasu tana krutsnat vido mandan krutsna vinna vichalayet.
Malli.
Prakruter guna sammudhaha sajjante guna karmasu tana krutsna vido mandan krutsna vinna vichalayet.
ఏం చదువుతున్నావు? 329. మళ్ళీ చదువు.
ప్రకృతేర్ గుణ సమ్మూఢాః సజ్జంతే గుణ కర్మసు తాన కృత్స్న విదో మందాన్ కృత్స్న విన్న విచాలయేత్. Those ignorant beings who are sufficiently confused are provoked by tendencies of the nature so-called swabhav. That is why those ignorant entities always give highest priority and are also anxious towards gunakarma, are those acts which are the consequences of tendencies of the nature. An enlightened being should never encourage the unenlightened behavior of those ignorant beings.
So, on the other day we have learned sufficiently about this, but today Lord Sri Krishna is concluding. On the other day, sloka number 5 slokas, bunch of slokas are there. 21 to 26, I believe. 21 to 26. The bunch of slokas, the crux, the nucleus of all the bunch of slokas is an enlightened being, directly or indirectly, will be a role model to the society. People will be quietly observing him and they will be trying to imitate him. Whatever is being done by the enlightened being, they began to believe that that is the ideal way of living, and they began to implement it, duplicate it. So that is why an enlightened being should always be aware that he is being observed and being followed by so many people. Okay? So that is why he should never skip from humanity. Though he is sufficiently enlightened, though he knows pretty well that the so-called humanity is a passing cloud, it is not entitled to satisfy his thirst, but still he should participate and continue in the social spectrum just like that, because if he quits from the society, if he quits from the humanity, and suddenly if he takes a U-turn and abruptly he stops performing all the deeds, and he runs away from humanity to a lonely place, then and so suddenly if he becomes a renunciant, then everybody will be under impression that this might be the ideal way of living, and people duplicate him. Then there will be a chaos in the society, and directly or indirectly, this enlightened being will be responsible for the chaos caused in the society. That is the nucleus of the bunch of slokas. I believe 21 to 26. If I am not wrong, they are 21 to 26. Fine. Actually, this is in continuation with that sloka. Here he has concluded. The insight of this beautiful sloka is the ignorant beings who are sufficiently confused. The ignorant beings who are sufficiently confused. Confused means moha prerepit. Confused means moha prerepit. Confusing Satya as Asat, Asat as Sat is called as moha. When an entity is sufficiently confused and he has begun to believe Sat, that which is in existence, as non-existing, Asat, that which is non-existing, as Sat, then that ignorance, that confusion, that paradox is called as moha. Okay? So those ignorant beings, an example is you cannot experience the soul by your sensory organs. You cannot experience the existence of soul with your sensory organs. That is why what the intellectual human being, ignorant being believes, that there is no soul, there is no spirit. सत को असत मान रहे हो, सत को असत मान रहे. And because this physical world can be experienced by the sensory organs, he says that this physical world is existing. असत को सत मान रहा है. सत को असत मानना, असत को सत मानना ही उसी को बोलते हैं मोह प्रेरेपित जिंदगी. मोह प्रेरेपित entities, that is what the ignorant beings who are sufficiently confused are provoked by the tendencies of swabhav, are always being provoked by the tendencies of the tendencies of the swabhav, the so-called nature or prakriti. Yesterday we have learnt now, prakriti, the so-called swabhav, gives birth to tendencies, the so-called guna. And guna provoke certain acts, that is called as guna karma. So those ignorant beings who are sufficiently confused, who are leading the life of a moha, naturally they will be tempted. They are provoked by the tendencies of the nature, the so-called swabhav. Am I clear? The so-called swabhav. That is why those ignorant entities always give highest priority and are always anxious towards guna karma. Guna karma is the best sufficient term for that. Guna karma. What is guna karma? I have already made it very clear. We are grandest spiritual entities. We are the light beings. We are the spiritual entities. We are the entities who are going to exist forever. We are the creators of this universe. We are pervading entities. We exist in each and every inch of the universe. We are immortal beings. We do not know what exactly is hungry, what exactly is angry. We do not know those type of human tendencies. In our original innate consciousness, we do not have this type of human tendencies. Okay? Melancholy, tragedy, anxiety, revenge. We do not have those type of human tendencies. Okay? But we want to experience and express and explore our innate consciousness. We want to explore, express, experience our original divine consciousness. We want to explore, express, experience our original divine innate ananya consciousness. And we want to do it in each and every platform. One of the platforms is the lowest frequency, which is called as this materialistic realm. We have preferred an embodiment. Accordingly, we have entered into this material realm. And what is the spiritual purpose? To explore the unexplored divinity, to express the unexpressed divinity, to experience the unexperienced divinity. That is the very purpose of the beautiful spirit visiting this earth planet and wearing this embodiment. But unfortunately, when we entered into this premises, what has happened? The Jivatma has forgotten its original consciousness and began to wrongly identify itself with the embodiment it's wearing. And the moment the tendencies of the physical embodiment, so which are called as triguna tendencies, sattva, tamo, rajoguna, when it has began to identify itself, guna sangatya, identify itself with the tamogun, sattvagun, rajogun. Supposing if entire life it is with tamogun, at the climax it has shifted its gears from tamogun to rajogun. In the rajogun, the body perished. The body embodiment got perished. At the time of climax, this Jivatma is with rajogun. This rajogun becomes Swabhav for the next incarnation. This rajogun becomes the Swabhav for the next incarnation. It is categorically being explained in chapter number 14. All the scenario has been categorically explained in the chapter number 14. So this becomes Swabhav. That Swabhav gives birth to certain tendencies. And those tendencies will finally flower into guna karma. So a realized God is quite aware that I am not, neither I am responsible, neither I am answerable for the guna karma. Neither I am responsible, nor I don't feel any guilt for the guna karma, because I am not accountable. I don't take responsibility of the guna karma because they are not in my original consciousness. But the ignorant beings who have harbored all the ignorance in their brain, who are anchored to humanity for eons together, those stupid beings give unwanted priority and show all the anxiety towards guna karma. That is the fate of the ignorant being, because they do not know that the source of karma is guna. They wrongly they feel that I am accountable for those acts. That is the fate of an ignorant being. That is the stupidity of an ignorant being. That is why an enlightened being should not tempt them, should not further create problem to them, should not further confuse them. That is why an enlightened being should never encourage the unenlightened behavior of these ignorant beings. Am I clear? Yes. So, my dear aspirants, from sloka number 21, to sloka number 26, Lord Sri Krishna, the plea of Lord Sri Krishna, the plea of Lord Sri Krishna is, an enlightened being always is a role model for that society, even for coming generations. Knowingly or unknowingly, if he begins to do something, the society and the generations to come will always begin to duplicate that role model. That is why he should be always aware that he is being observed and practiced by so many ignorant beings. They duplicate just like that. They keep on duplicating him. That is why an enlightened being who is sufficiently enlightened, sometimes it happens that he doesn't need to stay in the society, that he doesn't need to stay in the social spectrum. Supposing all of a sudden he takes an U-turn and abruptly he disappears from the society and he has begun to relinquish everything, all the deeds, all the fun, then people might misunderstand and began to duplicate him, like what Buddha was doing. Everybody was becoming sannyasi. Then who is there to fight? Who is there to do agriculture? Who is there to do? Then there will be no mother. There will be no father. There will be no children. Then there will be chaos in the society. Then you should be responsible for that type of chaos. In conclusion to that teaching, today he has concluded that the natural tendency of the ignorant being is they are confused. Because of their confusion, they always feel that they are accountable, that they are responsible for the guna karma. That katrutva bhav. It is me who has done, like that they feel. An enlightened being at least should not encourage them further, should not confuse them further. Okay? It is the moral responsibility of an enlightened being, it is the moral responsibility of an enlightened being not to encourage those guys. Okay? See, I tell you, my dear aspirants, believe me, many of the spiritual gurus, the so-called spiritual gurus, are encouraging those tendencies. They are supposed to attack those tendencies. They are encouraging those tendencies. That is why these stupid ignorant teachers have become crowd pullers. That is why these stupid ignorant teachers have become crowd pullers, because the ignorant being is always interested and he takes the accountability of the guna karma. Because if you understand the insight of this particular sloka, clearly you can understand that Lord Sri Krishna might never have suggested the law of karma. He says that you are not accountable. You do not take the responsibility of those acts of human tendencies. Then how can he suggest a penal code which punishes your deeds? Kada? So these stupid ignorant teachers, they are directly encouraging the guna karma. Okay? Am I clear? Shall we shift to the next sloka? Sloka number 31. Yes. 30. Sloka number 30. Yes. 330. Yes.
330. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasyadhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigatachvaraha.
చదువుతా మనం చదవగలవా అది? చదువు. శ్లోకం. మయి సర్వాణి కర్మాణి.
మయి సర్వాణి కర్మాణి సన్యస్యాధ్యాత్మ చేతసా నిరాశీర్నిర్మమో భూత్వా యుధ్యస్వ విగతజ్వరః.
Again.
మయి సర్వాణి కర్మాణి సన్యస్యాధ్యాత్మ చేతసా నిరాశీర్నిర్మమో భూత్వా యుధ్యస్వ విగతజ్వరః.
Can just read that.
330. Always be aware of your original innate spiritual divine consciousness. While performing the acts, relinquish the unenlightened thinking that I am performing these deeds. Never ever expect the result from the performed acts. A realized God will never be crazy towards reflective physical world or the so-called virtual reality. Nirmamaha. And always be aware that the so-called human tendencies doesn't belong to my original consciousness. Vigata Jwaraha. Always be aware that there is no iota of truth in humanity and it is only a drama. Hence, don't take the humanity so seriously. That is why an enlightened being is never been trapped by tragedy, melancholy, depression, disappointment, etc. Always your thinking pattern should be enriched with the above said divine wisdom. With this type of divine attitude, declare war with your asura.
Thank you. The insight of chapter number 3, verse number 30. Always be aware of your original innate spiritual divine consciousness. Always be aware of your original innate spiritual divine consciousness. While performing the deeds, relinquish the unenlightened thinking pattern which says, I am performing these deeds. Which says, I am performing these deeds. Never ever expect the result from the performed acts. A realized God will never be crazy towards reflective physical world or the so-called virtual reality. And always be aware that the so-called human tendencies doesn't belong to my original consciousness, my innate consciousness. Always be aware that there is not even an iota of truth in humanity. That there is not even an iota of truth in humanity, and it is only a drama. Hence, don't take the humanity so seriously. That is why an enlightened being is naturally never being trapped by tragedy, melancholy, depression, disappointment, sadness, worry, trauma. They are not there. Once you realize that this is drama, there is no trauma. If you happen to have trauma, then it is the mark of your ignorance. It is the heights of your ignorance. Mark of you are a towering personality in ignorance, unconsciousness. You are towering personality in ignorance. It is the mark of your ignorance. There is no. See, once you realize that that the entire humanity is drama, there is no trauma in it. But the more and more you are suffering with trauma, it is the mark of your ignorance. That is the thing. Always your thinking pattern should be enriched with the above said divine wisdom. With this type of divine attitude, declare war with your asura. Attack it. Do a war for righteousness. That is the thing. See, I'll tell you, this is a beautiful sloka. The nucleus of this sloka is Adhyatma Chetasa. My dear aspirants, the nucleus of sloka number 3, verse number 30 is Adhyatma Chetasa. What exactly is Adhyatma Chetasa? I think by this time you are aware what exactly is Adhyatmam. In chapter number 8, verse number 3, Lord Sri Krishna has categorically defined what exactly is meant by Adhyatmam. Adhyatma means Swaswarup, Swaswabhav. The original consciousness, my original consciousness, my innate consciousness, that consciousness which has selected this embodiment, thus that consciousness which has fabricated this embodiment, that consciousness which has programmed this incarnation, that original consciousness, Adhyatma Chetasa. Adhyatma means our original consciousness, Swaswarup. This is not my Swarup. This is not my Swarup. This is the Swarup of my character. This is only the Swarup of my character. Swaswabhav. This is not my Swabhav. This is the Swabhav of my character. Okay. I have preferred so many characters. I have preferred so many swarups. I have preferred so many swabhavs. But I have my original swarup, my original swabhav. That is called as Adhyatma Chetasa. Always be aware of your original consciousness. That is the meaning of Adhyatma Chetasa. I have explained as always be aware of. See, people who are interested may write down word to word. For Adhyatma Chetasa, I have written that. For Adhyatma Chetasa, I have described Adhyatma Chetasa like that. You can just write down in your notebooks as Adhyatma Chetasa, and also the meaning of Adhyatma Chetasa, the insight of Adhyatma Chetasa is always be aware of your original innate spiritual divine consciousness. Okay? You can just write down in your notebooks as Adhyatma Chetasa, and you can also write down the insight of that Adhyatma Chetasa. Means always be aware of your original innate spiritual divine consciousness. Adhyatma Chetasa. If you just declare Oh, or if you just declare Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, I am Atma Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma. Or if you just declare Shivoham, or if you just declare Sada Shiva, or if you could just proclaim, I am the consciousness, I am the Holy Spirit, I am the divine being, I exist in each and every inch of the universe. It is me who has created this universe. Immortality is my original consciousness. Foreverness is my natural state of life. I am beyond time, distance, and space. That is all Adhyatma Chetasa. So, Adhyatma Chetasa, always be aware of your original, innate, spiritual, divine consciousness. That is Adhyatma Chetasa. And Mai Sarvani Karmani Sanyasya. Mai Sarvani Karmani Sanyasya. My dear aspirants, I just want to give a clarification here. When you have selected and elected a guru and began to accept that this particular entity is my guru, my spiritual hero, my guide master, what is that which has made you to select? His miraculous performances, or his physical appearance, or whether he is so good? Why? Nothing of these factors should contribute while you are selecting a guru. You are selecting a guru means you have accepted his dimension. You have accepted his perception, his prism. Okay? So, many of the spiritual teachers so far have misunderstood this beautiful teaching. Yes, Mai Sarvani Karmani Sanyasya. They were teaching their students that we should always sacrifice our deeds in the name of Krishna. You are doing something, and how can you sacrifice these deeds and relinquish deeds? How can you transfer these deeds in favor of Lord Sri Krishna? It is stupidity. I am just telling you the exact meaning of Mai Sarvani Karmani Sanyasya. Can you just repeat? Mai Sarvani Karmani Sanyasya. Again. Mai Sarvani Karmani Sanyasya. So it cannot be misunderstood as if relinquish all the deeds. No. The insight of that particular teaching is while leading your character, while living the life of your character, while living the life of your humanity, while performing the deeds, while living the life of your humanity, just always you should always be a thinking pattern that I am not doing. Do not claim Katrutva Bhav. I am original consciousness. This is my character. The affairs of character are different. The consciousness is different. See, I'll tell you like this. There is an AC machine here. This is a mic. Okay? This is a light. This is a fan. Okay? This fan, this AC, cooling breeze, this is for air, this is for light, this is for sound. As it is, the power has no tendency of giving the light, giving the cool breeze, giving the air, giving the sound. As it is, the electricity, the power, cannot give you the sound, cannot give you the cool breeze, cannot give you the light, etc. But when once the power enters into this cooling machine, that machine is giving you cool air. But the power as it is, it has nothing to do with that, no? So once you entered into this embodiment or the so-called character is living the tendencies are not the soul's tendencies, the tendencies are not the spirit's tendencies. These tendencies belong to the character, these tendencies belong to the human being. Okay? So always be aware that those tendencies are not mine, not mine. Okay, na? That is the second sentence. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya. While performing the acts, just discard the thinking pattern that I am performing these deeds. So far I have explained only two words. The first is Adhyatma Chetasa. Adhyatma means that original innate divine spiritual consciousness which has selected this embodiment, which has preferred this character. Okay? That is our original consciousness. You always be situated in that, always be captivated in that psychological state. While leading the life of your humanity, while performing the deeds, discard the thinking pattern that as if I am doing. The power is not giving you the cool breeze. The power is not giving you the cool. It is the AC machine that is giving you the cool breeze, but power has made the AC machine to perform. That's all. In the same way, I am not responsible for the deeds of Vivek. I am not responsible for the affairs of this embodiment. Okay? Always be aware. Afterwards, Nirashihi. Afterwards, Nirashihi. Nirashihi means without any crazy, without any anxiety, you keep your face so dull, people will die because they should see your face. Your face will not be, you cannot see your face, but they have got to suffer. Ultimate sufferers are those people who look around you. Kada? So Nirashihi means your Nirashihi should not be expressed in your face. What exactly is the inner meaning of Nirashihi? I have explained that. A realized God will never be crazy towards reflective physical world, because from the point of view of an enlightened being, the so-called physicality is nothing but a passing cloud. From the point of view of an enlightened being, a realized God, the so-called physical world is nothing but a passing cloud. That is what? A realized God will never be crazy towards reflective physical world. प्रतिबिंबात्मक है ना ये संसार प्रतिबिंबात्मक है, बिंबात्मक नहीं है, ये प्रतिबिंबात्मक है. So that is why a realized God will never be crazy towards reflective physical world or the so-called virtual reality. A reality, it is only a virtual reality. Okay, am I clear? So that is called, that is what? Nirashihi. Nirashihi means a realized God will never be crazy towards reflective physical world or the so-called virtual reality, because उसको मालूम है कि वो सच्चाई ये है, इसमें लेश मात्र भी सच्चाई नहीं है. पदार्थ रूप जगत का सच्चाई ये है कि इसमें लेश मात्र भी सच्चाई नहीं है, अणु मात्र भी सच्चाई नहीं है. Because I am not Vivek, this time I have preferred to play the character of Vivek, and this time I have preferred to wear the masculine gender for a while. Neither I am Vivek nor I am the masculine gender. I am a soul, I am a spirit, I am just playing the character of Vivek for a while. Like a reputed actor sometimes prefer to play a character in that particular movie, that's all. The characteristics of the character are different. The character of the original actor are different. In the same way, when Vivek itself is the character, everything which has happened in the life of Vivek is also the part of the drama. When once I realize this fact, I will not be giving topmost priority to the incidents which are happening in the real world. That is why an enlightened being, a realized God, will never have crazy towards the reflective physical world. For him, this physical world is only a virtual reality. It's like a passing cloud. The reality of the reality is, it is not really real at all. The reality of the so-called reality in the humanity, it is not really real at all. That is why Nirashihi. And other thing is Nirmamaha. Mama means mine. Nirmamaha means they are not mine. Mama means mine. Nirmamaha means they are not mine. I am explaining the insight of Nirmamaha. And always be aware that the so-called human tendencies doesn't belong to my original consciousness. And always be aware that the so-called human tendencies, they don't belong to my original consciousness. Am I clear? And finally, Vigita Jvaraha. The insight of that particular beautiful terminology is always be aware that there is not even iota of truth in humanity. Iota means leshamatra. Iota means leshamatra. Always be aware that there is no iota of truth in humanity, and it is only a drama. When once you realize that it is a drama, then there will not be a trauma. Okay? So hence, don't take the humanity so seriously. Hence, don't take the humanity so seriously. You are Bahubali or what? You stupid being. Why you are taking the humanity so seriously? That is why an enlightened being is never being trapped by tragedy. That is why an enlightened being is never being trapped by tragedy, melancholy, depression, disappointment, sadness, worry. These are not. Violent music is not there. Neither violence nor violent music is not there. Violent music itself is the violence for youth. That is why an enlightened being is never being trapped, never being trapped by tragedy, melancholy, trauma, depression, disappointment. That is what asochan. The more and more you are believing that this life is loaded with trauma, that this life is loaded with tragic incidents, it is the mark of your ignorance. It is the mark. You are towering personality in ignorance. You have reached towering heights in ignorance. You are expecting the energy from pyramid. Yes. When you are expecting the energy from pyramids, when you are not expecting the energy from the soul consciousness, Upar say when you are expecting the energy from pyramids, then I can say one thing. You have reached the towering heights of ignorance, my dear friend. Like that. Yes. Always your thinking pattern. Then finally, Bhutva Ijjasva. Bhutva Ijjasva. Always your thinking pattern should be enriched with the above said divine wisdom. Always your neurological brain should be nurtured with this type of flowering, flourishing, beautiful, spiritual wisdom. With this type of attitude, with this type of thinking pattern, with this type of prism, attack the personality. Do the dharma yuddha, war for righteousness. Attack the personality, kill the personality ruthlessly. Now you may ask me, sir, he only said ijjasva. He never said antaryuddha. But this is implied because with the above qualities like nirashihi, nirmamaha, vigata jvara, you cannot attack your enemy. If you are doing a physical war, it is not possible. But these are weapons, ammunition, when you are attacking your personality. Every single word uttered by Lord Sri Krishna is a weapon to attack our personality. What is personality? Asur. What is Asur? The false thinking pattern, which has been accumulated for eons together, for thousands of years together. When we have begun to wrongly identify ourselves with the embodiment we are wearing, then we have given birth to a false attitude. That false attitude, for eons together, incarnations together, it has become so strong, finally it has transformed into the form of a asura, which has become a hindrance for our enlightenment, which has become a hindrance for the unification of our original consciousness. If you want to have a unification with your original consciousness, ruthlessly you have got to attack this personality, which is called as war for righteousness or dharma yuddha or asur. With these weapons, what are the weapons? First is adhyatma chetasa. First is adhyatma chetasa. The second one is mai sarvani karmani sanyasya. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya. So I am doing this. Just relinquish that thinking pattern. Just throw the thinking pattern into dustbin. Okay? Then nirashihi. Do not be crazy towards the physical world. Why you should be crazy towards physical world? It is a reflection. It is bound to reflect your inner. Do not be crazy towards your physicality. And nirmamaha. Those tendencies are not my original tendencies. Revenge. This type of vendetta, they don't belong to me. So fine. And finally, vigata jvara. The more and more you realize that this is drama, there is no trauma. The more and more you say that my life is filled with trauma, tragic incidents, mark of ignorance. That's it. And with this type of mental, spiritual abilities, attack your personality. Kill the personality ruthlessly. What is attacking the personality? What is killing the personality? Not being trapped by the personality. What not being trapped by asura? Means never act as per the directions of your asura. Never act to satisfy the false ego of your asura. From my point of view, the insight of sloka number 330 is this, and 30 is something beautiful. Now I think you're well versed with the terminology and the insight of this beautiful sloka. The first, the nucleus part, Shreyovaki, Dhyayovaki is the nucleus or the synopsis or the crux or the linchpin is Adhyatma Chaitasa. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya. Nirashihi nirmamaha vigata jvaraha bhutva yudhyasva. That's it, as simple as such. Namaskar, my dear aspirants. Never forget that. The true enlightenment will never happen because of your ritualistic nature, because of your religiousistic nature, because of sacrificing the fun in the real life. Don't relinquish, but relinquish one thing, the word relinquish. Ruthlessly relinquish the relinquishing nature. Celebrate this humanity to the peaks. But this celebration of humanity should not be at the cost of your divinity. And divinity should not be at the cost of humanity. Enjoy divinity. Enrich yourself with the beautiful wisdom, the original consciousness. Enjoy the fun of humanity to the peaks. But before leaving this incarnation, you should live the more, and when you are living in this embodiment, live like an enlightened being. When you are leaving this embodiment, live like a realized God. Am I clear? When you are living in this embodiment, live like an enlightened being. When you are leaving this embodiment, live like a realized God. My dear aspirants, again I repeat, the more and more you say that my life is riddled, full of intricacies, it is loaded with all type of trauma, tragic incidents, my life is loaded with tragic incidents, then it is the mark of ignorance. This life is a sheer celebration. Celebrate this life, learn the knowledge, gear up yourself, shift your gears from existing consciousness to higher consciousness. Enjoy the life to the peaks. Namaskar. Jayastu. Astu.